All right. It's time for, I think, some Hero Card Friday. I think Hero Card Friday is in order. And it's 150. A voodoo breakfast, how's it going? Oh, Jesus. Oh, I need to actually add to that being like so. Yeah, so people know. Because it's deadline soon. It is deadline soon. Unreal Bjorn deadline in 11 hours. Eight p.m. yeah. In GMT, 8 p.m. So that's in 10 hours and 51 minutes. Are you ready? What's most important as to remember is to post it on the forum. That is everything. It doesn't count on Discord. I will not look at Discord for final entries or work in progress. If it's not on the forum, you are dead. You're dead to me, you hear? Hey Yatsuki, how's it going? Gria, what up? Yeah, so again, you gotta post on the forum for it to count. If you post on Discord, it's great for the community, but it doesn't count for the competition. Hey Miss Musta, how's it going? Sue the Hue, what up? You are on time. So today is Hero Card Friday. It is a subscriber perk where you guys do your hero card kind of representative of who you are in the community, not as a person. Hey Dave Deviant, thanks for those 50 pyramids or triangles or bits, I don't know. We should come up with something. Very appreciated. Hey Invis Graphics, how's it going? So it's a subscriber perk where I will hold your hand through the process of a card illustration, like a card game illustration. So each of these, I have done 3. This is the second, and it has a frame, just like standard card illustration gig. And I will like art direct push your hero card. So today I'm doing my second one. The first one being this one. I finished. Fucking water temple. So this one I will also finish. It's not too much far off, but I will try to finish it. So on the left you'll see you can do duplication of the document by doing this. And then you get another window, and then when you have that other window, you can go to proof, set them custom, and then you find working dot gain 15%, and then you'll get a really quite accurate grayscale representation of that document. And what's cool with that is if you draw here, it updates there, and the other way around. And you don't need it grayscale if you don't. You can have another window duplication like that. I can put it behind me. So there's fire. A demon peeking behind the chat. And now if I would paint on there, all 3 documents would update. So it's a really, really handy little function in Photoshop. Hey Zelin, Captain Bows. Ow! How's it going? All right, let's start the timer. Let's do it. Yes. What I need to change, there's a lot of things. I started making the fire feel like there's fire inside the smoke here, but I feel like that corner is a little bit, I don't know, dead. So I'm thinking of making something that feels like a piece of a column maybe, and then loosely rendering it and then blurring it, so it becomes like a foreground element. But I don't want to cover too much of that nice. It's not going to be in the frame anyways, but it's going to be. It's important for the overall picture, so that's what I will try to do. Hey, Captain Boss. You're tired and disappointed. We all know that feeling. Hey, Dr. Sheldon, how's it going? Good morning, Dr. Sheldon. It's like your own TV show. What's it called? Sit show? Zit show? Situation comedy? Comedy? Sitcom. Yeah. Transcendental raccoon. The pressure is on. One good thing though you should keep in mind whenever you feel disappointed or the imposter syndrome plays a part, as in you feel disappointed at your level of finish, or you are disappointed of that you can't do better, that you see mistakes, you should not feel discouraged of that fact, because there's this kind of chart thing on internet about a theory about progression. And one of the key things with that chart of progression in terms of evolution as an artist, I think I'm subscribing to that chart when it comes to how one thinks about their art and the actual knowledge. But anyways, one thing that I want to point out, which that chart talks about, is that there's like a staircase going up when it comes to evolution, more or less. Evolution of an artist. And there is a arc going up where you learn things. Then there's a plateau of the step, of a staircase. There's a plateau, and on that plateau you're implementing the knowledge that you've learned. So that staircase goes like that, right? Learning, implementation, learning, implementation. You don't necessarily go in a curve, because you can't learn new things while implementing usually, right? And then there's another curve which goes like acquired knowledge and understanding the acquired knowledge. And that one never syncs with the staircase. So when the staircase go up and you start implementing the knowledge, and as you are plateauing, your knowledge, new knowledge or perceived understanding of the knowledge keeps climbing. so that when you're about to climb again at the end of the step, over here you feel like you are shit, because your understanding is higher and you're seeing the mistakes, and then you start climbing and learning new things, and then you plateau again, but you're still going to continue learning new things and understanding it and seeing it. So the fact that you're seeing your mistakes means you're learning, but it stinks. It sucks absolutely to see that you're failing. You see that you're making mistakes, but like I said, you should be happy that you're noticing that you're shit, because that means you're actually learning. So don't like worry too much about it, and don't be defeated. I think is the most important, because there will be, you will learn. It's just that maybe the timing is a little bit shit, because you know it's for competition. But I would be happy about the fact that, you know, I've managed to succeed to do something for an art competition. Maybe, yeah, it's not the best one I've ever created, but what is the biggest mistakes I've done, and can I correct them in the in the remaining time, you know? Maybe the thing that irks you the most is the face, and maybe you can just, maybe you have 1 hour left, you spend that hour on the face, and then you're like, okay, it's the best I could do with the time given, I hope I win. But you can see all like the learning curve, because you can spot the mistakes. Sue the hue, yeah, absolutely. That's the most important thing, and that's why a lot of people stop being good at something, is because they usually quit at a point where you're plateauing in skills, and you just need to implement the skills to the point where when you start learning again, and then you'll reach a new height, and it is repeated. But what's really important is if you never push, you will never rise to the next step of the staircase. You will only plateau. Iglesias, yeah, exactly. As soon as you're spotting mistakes in your own art, you are in the process of learning, or reaching new heights, and that's really important to remember. And also not to stop fighting, not to stop learning, not to stop trying to reach, because that's a sure way also not to progress. It's like, oh, I have mistakes, that means I'm getting better. You know? It's about understanding, comprehending what the mistakes mean, and correct them, learn how to correct them, and then start implementing, and that's automatically taking you over to the next step. Hey, Morfire, how's it going? Zealand. Yeah, it is an issue. It is an issue. And some paintings, even for me, I can notice many mistakes. So many jarring mistakes that I would need to restart the whole painting. It's like, oh, why did I make that decision? Why did I make that decision? I'm stupid. This is a shit painting. And sometimes you just gotta, put your hands up and go, holy shit, this is not good. Let's scrap it. Let's start again. and that's absolutely okay to do as well. And I've even done it for some clients. You know, like when there is a bad attempt, you know, sometimes randomly you can't control it, right? You just have a really shit day and there's a bad output. So what I usually do is sometimes it's like, oh yeah, can I deliver this tomorrow instead? There's some like technical issues, and then I just take, you know, more time to redo it, so I don't send like shit stuff. And then in the end, when I have a good candidate to send, I look at the shit one and go, okay, I have 1 hour before I should send the good one. Can I save this shit one? And I try to correct the mistakes. And then if I manage to do it decently enough, I send both. But at least I have one good, you know. Miss Monster. Yeah, it's tricky. Iglesias, yeah, absolutely right. So the napkin test. Right. Let me rant about the napkin test. It was about, for those who weren't here yesterday, it was about design theory, right? How to design something that's readable, and one of the techniques I mentioned was big, medium, and small shapes, and then the shape language, and so on. And then I mentioned a napkin test being another one. Leo Sartorelli, I work 9 to 5, 9 to 6. Normal working day. We try not to do overtime at the studio. We push ourselves during the days instead, in terms of tempo, not to need overtime or crazy long hours. So we're like pushing hard during the work hours so that we don't need to sit longer, you know, and we don't do weekends. I do weekends occasionally if, you know, like another artist hasn't delivered, the quality isn't there, or if, you know, there's some extra client that needs a service, then yeah, I'll work some extra just for the sake of my own ego, not because I have to. Leo Sartorelli, well, it's, you know, it's down to how you schedule your day and how you work and so on. But in general, we try not to at Opus Arts. And of course, artists are free to do more time for their own ego, you know. But it's not a requirement. Or sometimes there is, you know, like, oh shit, we didn't deliver, we have to. Yeah, it's not healthy for the body to crunch. That's why we don't believe in crazy work hours. I'd rather have us work really hard during the days, and then at 6 o'clock you can go, okay, not until tomorrow morning, I need to think about this. Worst is if you have to sit till like 8 in the night, like 9 in the evening, like, oh, from 9 in the morning, and you just have to grind this art. It's never a good thing. It's never a good thing. Anyways, let's get back to napkin test. So one of the ideas about the napkin test is that it's based on design principle of, this is something I've kind of picked up over the years and formulated myself, but it's based on design principles of diminishing returns, right? So by that, the idea is that if you design a character with correct shape language, with correct you know, visual visual language, big, medium, and small. Everything is reading as it is. You know, good design. Let's say good design. Avoid breakfast. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so the idea is the napkin test is that imagine you've designed a character. You can take any also any popular character that's been designed in mainstream, you know, mainstream media, mainstream. Be Superman. Let's take Superman as an example. I usually take Superman because it's an easy to explain example, or He-Man, but there's some generational gap there where people go like, He-Man? Anyways, so the idea is you only have a bar napkin and a ballpoint pen. You're in a bar, and you're gonna have to try to draw the character that you've designed. And with Superman, that would be, you know, a strong male silhouette, the S on the chest, the thing on the forehead, and the cape, right? And his pose. Like, that would be Superman. And Batman, you would do like a square head with the little bat ears and the eyes, right? And the face and the thing. But if we actually look at Superman in the movie, you know, he has textures, he has like microfiber, these like high-tech materials going on in his suit and all these things. But that's secondary information, because the primary design is you can boil that design down to those simple means, right? And in that way, you've simplified the design for recognition. And when you design something, you have to, as I see it, you have to consider what elements have you added to the design. Is the things on the character needed for the napkin test, in that sense? You know, like, they have a big, let's say they have a big gas canister on their back. Do they just have the gas canister on their back just for the sake of silhouette? Or is the gas canister in the back a part of the napkin test, where it becomes a part of the character, like an essential part of how you would describe the character? And if it's not, then you really need to consider, why did I place it there? Is it just visual noise? What happens if I remove it? Or what happens if I move it? And where is it placed? What's the size of it? What's the shape of it? And it's like hey, hon ved. So it's like a check for yourself in terms of where you're taking the design and how complicated is the design. There's like simplicity to it, but there should also be complexity to it. Let me try to find an example. What's it called? Genesis. Like one of the reasons, for example, I absolutely love one of the artists that I really appreciate is Marko Djurdjevic. He's really good at that primary read of the design, and then have lots of secondary information that supports the design. Like this one, for example. Like, you can easily, like, if you would try to describe him on a napkin, it would be like the harsh contrast, the like the red star and the cape and the helmet, right? That would be his like calling sign. But then you have all these additional extra information that will aid the character, and it will add complexity to the overall read, but it is what it is, like that, right? And and let's see, they even made it in real life costume, which, you know, in a way proves, not really like proves it, but it shows even more the like the ease of recognizing the character, right? And the decisions of placing this information in this configuration with these shapes and these like subtleties of highlights and so on, it's all designed, and it's not random, right? It's carefully constructed so that you have a way of describing it in a simplified manner, so that the design itself is strong. Does that make sense? Or am I just ranting too much? So one of the things that I teach, or taught rather, was that when you do the design, you also have to realize that you can do the napkin test in different ways. It's not just one way. And for example, let's say Iron Man, it doesn't have, his simplification is not really shapes, it's color. So red and gold is like Iron Man, right? So, for example, when you're doing a character design for a product, let's say a video game, and they always mention, you know, like the the canned brief of like iconic design, and that's what that means. It means a complex design that's simple to reduce. And the point where you start adding to that design, and if you feel like, nah, this is it's too much noise, and if you start removing stuff from the design, you're starting to feel like, it's lacking something. Then you know approximately where that sweet spot is, and then you should slow down at that point and carefully craft each shape, like each curve, each material. Is it definition enough? Is the shape correct? Like, is the bend at the right spot, or should I make it smoother or harder? Move it, you know, and it needs to be like carefully fine-tuned, like with the little knobs, like a little bit more, a little bit less, and then all of a sudden you can feel when you've done the balance correctly. You can see it. It's like, yeah, that looks great. And then you go in and change something, or the art director wants you to change the head, and all of a sudden the design doesn't work. You're like, and then you need to change the head, but still try to maintain that simplified complexity of an iconic design, right? And that can only be obtained by, well, not only, but the napkin test is a great reminder of how you should think about a design when you're doing a lot of like the heavy lifting in terms of defining what is what. Like, how can you reduce it? What's the overall like simplification of the shape? Like, okay, like He-Man, for those who remember, was a power dude with an X on his chest with like red markings and like furry tidy whities and a pot haircut, whatever they're called in English. We call it potty haircuts in Swedish. Like a bowl cut. Bowl cut, there we go. He had a bowl cut. And in that way, his design is that X, and the same size of the bowl cut as his panties. But there's more to that than that, right? You can make him look really cool, but you can still boil him down to that X. Hey, Only, let's go. Miss Monster, page boy, yeah. Polish. But yeah, so that's Napkin Test. Hopefully my rant is all made you smarter and not dumber. And another way of seeing it is, let's take WALL-E, the Pixar movie of that cute little square yellow box robot that has these cute eyes and stuff. Like that design in itself, when you look at everything, it's like dust scratches and all these little buttons, and you don't remember those, but you remember the box, his head, and the treadmill, or whatever they're called in English, the tracks. But the fact that you can build that simplified version of that in Lego, and it's still absolutely recognizable, that you go, oh, that's WALL-E, but a Lego version, and that's the movie version with realistic textures, but they're still the same, right? And then you can even go further by having a kid draw WALL-E, and you can still go, that's exactly WALL-E with a kid's drawing, you know, with a crayon, but they've managed to nail the shapes, the proportions, the configuration of everything, and it's instantly recognizable. Or you add something to that and it's no longer WALL-E. You change the shape of the eyes or the proportions of the head, and it's like, oh, that's good job, that could be WALL-E. Or you go to your kid and go, oh, that's a nice fish, and the kid is like, this is WALL-E. Oh, sorry, yeah, of course it's WALL-E. Okay. Good job. But it's very true when to think that way when you're making a product, because WALL-E, for example, wasn't made out of vacuum. You know, it was, like I said yesterday, didn't put in the ingredients in a bucket. They shook the bucket and then go like, here's the main character. It's crafted. People who know what they're doing have carefully adjusted everything. Found a sweet spot of just enough in either way, you know. So Napkin Test is just a way of checking your own design, of more of like a mental exercise. And I don't literally mean that you should try to draw every design you do on a bar napkin. that won't you know, that would be idiotic and extremely wasteful. But the mindset of thinking, okay, what is the basic like red line of the design? You know, am I ruining it? Am I adding to it? Is it getting better? Do I need to add something? Is it missing? What's the shapes? What's the combination of them? And that in combination with big, medium, and small shapes, with silhouette, with color, with material combination, all these things play a huge part in the overall picture of did you hit the nail on the head, or you know? There's lots of things to think about, and it's not just you know, wishful thinking that you know what you're doing. It's lots of thinking involved. Leo Satrelli, I do. I absolutely do. I have 50 something sketchbooks filled. I always have sketchbooks with me. But day-to-day basis, I don't really sketch. Only when I need to go somewhere or do something, I try to sketch a bit. But it's the same principle there, because you shouldn't stop thinking about the design just because it's traditional, you know. But that's also one of the beauties of sketching, is you stumble onto these perfect combination of shapes. Which is great. Leo Sartorelli, I had a special stream once where I went page by page. But yeah, I can do that someday. But my lunch is over. Let's raid someone. Agoto has a lot of viewers. Why is he? Ad, go away. Looks pretty cool. And he's having music in the corner. Who to raid? Nah. What's Tim Remmers doing? He's making some funny ZBrush creature. Oh, let's raid him. Hey, Value, thank you very much. Suderu, yeah, 30 minutes flew by. Remember, there's about 10 hours left of the Unreal Bjorn. The commands are at the far right corner over there. Deadline, round 2, apostrophe here, or in Discord. It works on Discord too. Good luck, everyone, and deadline at 8 p.m. GMT. Go, go, go. Okay, I'm gonna do the raid, and then we're gonna do the outro, and I'll switch us over after the outro. So thanks everyone for joining. Thanks everyone for the chat. You guys are awesome. Makes my morning every day. All right, outro time.